You're listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which provides bite-sized tips for busy parents, educators, and anyone working with kids. These real talk conversations focus on mindful living, mental health, and personal growth, helping all to learn, grow, and inspire with mindfulness in mind. I'm your host, Vanessa de Jesus Guzman, educator, licensed professional counselor, entrepreneur, and mom. I'm passionate about helping folks live life with peace of mind and ease of heart while not losing their, well, you know, here we go. Hello and welcome back to the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I hope that you're feeling good, looking good, and doing better in this world than you were yesterday. So by the time that you're listening to this recording, you will have noticed that the Consult a Counselor series have come to an end for now, being that the school years are ending now at the end of June. And I know some start up a little bit earlier because they've been out for a while. Here in the Northeast, we start back up typically after Labor Day. The Consult a Counselor series will resume around that time, but for now, you can just hold on tight to just the weekly episodes. So I don't know about you, but every time that I have to fill up my gas tank, holy moly. I hold my breath and say is it going to pass this number? Is it going to pass this number? And I just can't believe how expensive it has gotten. And when you look at things through a very, small lens, at first, it doesn't make a big deal, right? Like a couple of dollars here, $5 to $10 extra for gas over there. But then when you start looking at the bigger picture and you start accumulating things, what a difference it makes. But it also makes an impact on us mentally, because it can bring up a lot of the stuff that we have experienced from younger age, whether it be children or at a younger age, whether it be when you were first standing on your own 2 feet, maybe living on your own or living with a roommate or a partner and trying to really figure things out. And perhaps if you've had the experience of trying to make ends meet, it can bring up a lot of stuff from the past. And then the trick is, how do we balance that stuff for the right now? And that can really get complicated when we don't have our priorities right on what are the things that are most important for the right here and right now. And it's really interesting when we use the words right here and right now, because those are words that I use to describe being mindful, right? Paying attention to the right here and right now. But sometimes when we are so mindful in our moments, we sometimes become laser focused on one thing. So when we become laser focused on relaxing in one moment and we can let go of outside stressors and things that are not making us feel our best, that is in a positive light. But when we are so laser focused and so into our wants and our egos at that time, we then have a hard time seeing, well, how is this going to serve me or not serve me later? So when you are thinking about what is it that you really want out of life, you really have to ask yourself a couple of questions to see, is this really for me? And I know some of these things are going to sound contradictory to the whole financial aspect that we started off talking about, but they are things to still consider. You'll see what I mean. The first thing is not popular opinion, and that is to be selfish. So often, especially as adults, especially as women, and especially as mothers, we put so many other people's needs in front of ours that then we don't even get to the things that we are really desiring for ourselves. It's important to be selfish and really think about, what is it that you want? For what reasons? And is it smart to do that at this very moment? Remember that it's okay to put yourself first, especially when it comes to self-care, because if you don't, then who will? So be selfish and then figure out what it is that you need And how can you do that? Not in a selfish way, right? Once you've figured out the things that you need, then definitely consider, especially your family and how that's going to impact them. But then figure out what it is that you need versus what it is that you want and how you can go about doing it in a way that's going to serve you in what you need while still taking others into consideration. So we don't want to hold on to that thought of selfishness forever, but we do want to hold on to it while we're figuring out what it is that we want out of life and that we need in this moment. Then think about, what is it that you don't want? What is it that bothers you? What is it that is not going to help you? Because it's just as important to figure out the things that you want versus the things that you don't want. And sometimes you figure out the things that you don't want first, and that's okay because it helps you down the road. And this is where mindfulness comes in, when we really take the time to just be in the moment, to clear our minds of all the to-do lists and to sit with ourselves and figure out, what is it that I want? What is it that I need? What is it that I want out of life? And then what is it that makes me happy? Am I happy in my current situation, in my current lifestyle, in my current relationship, in my current job? And if any of those answers are not 100%, then really determine what you can do about it. And if you find yourself in a position where you are not truly happy with what is happening, then do something about it. And then share what it is that you are trying to accomplish with other people, because they will help you stay accountable. They will ask you about your goals and they will help push you in the right direction. So, a couple of weeks ago on this podcast, I shared with you that I had never run a 5K and that it was a goal of mine to do so. So, a listener friend let me know, all right, these are the shoes that you should get. This is the place where you should go to get them. These are the things that you need, the gear, a workout plan. And I started on this plan at the beginning of May. And my friends, if you're listening to this in real time, my 5K is just around the corner. I've been training and I have gotten better in my pace and in my endurance. Now, I will tell you, I am still super scared to no end, and I don't really know of what I'm scared of. I just want to make sure that I finish and that I finish at least within the realm of the pace that I've been practicing at, because I am also realistic of the things that I want, right? And here's another example of thinking about the things that you need versus the things that you want. I mean, I can say, yeah, I want to move into a huge new house or I want a Tesla, but is that really going to work out best for me financially right now? Probably not. But I want to do a 5K and I want to finish in the time that I know is going to be best for me. And what helps me in this situation is that ending part that I just stated right now. What is going to be best for me? My pace is not going to be best for a person who's been running all of their life and it consistently runs on a regular basis. But my pace will be best for me and for what I've been working to. So I know sometimes listening to these wants and these needs, we can get sometimes caught up in the terms and in the semantics and in the, well, do you really need that? And do you really want that? But all of the things that we want are not all bad. Now, again, if you want a $10,000 purse during a time where gas is so expensive and you only get paid $15 an hour, is that the best choice for you? That's a question you have to ask yourself. But sometimes you do have to be selfish for the things that you want to, let's say, accomplish in a different sense, like the sense of this 5K. And I was selfish in making sure that I got the gear that I needed, that I made and created the time to work out and to practice the runs. And then finally, that I've registered, and then I'm finally going to run the race. So I hope that you're hanging on with me as I talk about these different examples and not get caught up with one type of example that doesn't suit to what you're thinking, because I'm sure there is something else that may. And when we're thinking about what is it that you need and want, and how is it that you can accomplish that, and is it really worth it to do it if it's going to make you happy, know that it is not going to be easy. Oh no, it's going to be something that you're going to have to work at. And I always have the idea in my head that when we say we want blank, like I want to run this 5K, it's at those times that sometimes we find ourselves with obstacles or challenges that perhaps weren't there before. And I think about it as the universe or energy or God or a higher power, whatever it is that you believe in. I always tell myself, well, you know what? Now we're really being tested to see, is that what you truly want? And the days that it was raining and the days where my knees were hurting, I was being tested. Is this something that you truly want? Are you going to keep up with your training? Or are you going to just call it quits because it wasn't as easy? And I always remind myself that nothing grows out of comfort zones. So sometimes you need to push yourself past times of discomfort in order to achieve those things that you really want. And you have to work. So, my friends, as we continue to pay the price at the gas tanks and pay a little bit more at the grocery store and wait a little bit longer for baby formula and all of the things that we are experiencing in our world, I implore you to try the aspect of being mindful. Really take out time to kind of sit with your thoughts, sit with your feelings. Ask yourself, why is it that I'm feeling this way? Ask yourself, what can I do about this? Ask yourself, do I need to hold on to these feelings? Or if they're not serving me, can I let them go? And if you're resistant to letting them go, ask yourself, why? When I go get that gas tank and I'm paying $70 plus, can I stay mad and can I let it ruin my day? Sure, I can. But is that really what I want? Is that really what I need? And is that really what's going to suit me best? And I know enough to use my breath and use my power of being and awareness to acknowledge, yes, I don't like paying this much for gas. Yes, I don't like training for this 5K. Yes, I have to be more patient for the things that I am working toward. But I also acknowledge that holding on to things and especially intense feelings or perhaps relationships or emotions or thoughts, sometimes they don't serve you. And through a mindfulness practice, you are able to acknowledge and to let go so that you yourself aren't being held back, so that you can put more energy into figuring out the things that you want, the things that you need, and how to accomplish the things that are going to serve you most. If you are wanting and needing your children to engage in more first time listening, I do invite you to check out the show notes or my website and check out the free PDF guide that I created called Talking to Kids Without Losing Your Cool, where it has phrases and words and questions that you can bring up to your kids, and then self reflection things as well to help your relationship out, whether you are a parent, an educator, or anybody else who works with kids. Thank you so much always for your continued support. I truly appreciate each and every one of your listening ears, and I invite you for the short guided meditation now. So, right now, regardless of where you are or what you're doing, bring awareness to your nostrils as you take a deep breath in and then release the air the same way that it came in. And just feel the way the breath goes in through your nose and out through your nose. Feeling the air that comes out, whether it be on your lips, on your nose, or even placing a finger or a hand in front of your mouth or nose so that you can also feel the air blowing out that way. As you continue with your awareness on your breath, I ask you to take this moment and think about, what is it that you truly want? Think about how that is different or the same from the things that you need. And think about what can help you get there. What steps do you have to take to make this thing a reality? What do you have to obtain? And more importantly, what do you have to let go of? And perhaps in letting go of these anchors that hold you back, maybe it's also letting go of a negative mindset or of hesitations or of fear that sometimes shackle you down and keep you anchored to the ground, as opposed to releasing you and letting you fly and having you reach your fullest potential. Think about what it is that you want. And right now, think of one thing that you can do today, right after this, to get that ball going, moving in the right direction. Good luck and have a great week. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. It would mean a ton if you took this moment to review the Free to Be Mindful podcast on the platform you catch your favorite shows. That quick and easy act lets me know what you enjoy, and it helps others find the podcast too. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you can listen along next week. In the meantime, I welcome you to catch me on social media at Counselor V de Jesus. And as always, remember, in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next week.